Is it okay if I make this video? Hello. So I'm gonna walk, obviously. All right, right. I had this guy, and he asked me if I could buy his shoes or whatever, and like, I don't mind helping out, you know what I mean? But it's like, you just got to keep trying, man. Like, I'm not your customer. I'm not your client base, you know? Just keep trying. I'm sure eventually you'll get to somebody who wants to. And he was like, really upset with me. I'm like, oh shit. He was really upset with me because I told him no. And it's like, I don't know, like, there's something about, like, a person who, like, refuses to take, like, how do I say this? A person who refuses to take responsibility, you know what I mean, for themselves. You know, it's like, I'm trying to explain this properly, because it's like, he was really trying to, like, force himself on me, and it's like, from my perspective, it's like, he was thinking that he wasn't going to be able to find anybody to buy them, and I'm like, I'm sure if you keep trying, you will find somebody who wants to purchase these shoes, you know what I mean, because he was trying to buy some shoes, or sell some shoes, and I'm like, you know, I don't gotta, I can't. If I did, I would definitely help you out, but I don't, so I can't, you know. And he was like, and he was trying to project something onto me. He was like, you know, why you gotta act like that with me? What's wrong? And I just walked away, because at this point, I've said all that I could say. I've tried to be motivational. I tried to be helpful, you know what I mean? And he just didn't want what I was offering. And that's what I wanted. That's, like, when somebody comes to you for, like, help, or, like, you know, help of some sort, and you're not able to give them exactly what they need or what they're asking for, but you give them something adjacent, be mindful of those people. Those are the people that are going to just, like, waste away their lives. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I could literally give you the answer to what you're asking for, and you would still hate it. You know what I mean? You would hate it because it's not the thing that you want. And, like, you really got to watch out for these people. Like, you know, the people who constantly complain, constantly talk about what they want or what they don't want, but then when you tell them what needs to happen for them to get that, they don't want to do it. And it's like, okay, well, you're not helping yourself, so I can't help you, you know? Like, the fuck? Because I respect the hustle, for sure. Like, I definitely do. Like, I don't mind, you know, somebody asking me or, like, coming to me for assistance, you know, but if I don't have it, I don't have it. And I would prefer if you just kind of, like, you know, persistence is one thing. If you want to ask a couple, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm telling you, no, I don't have it, and I can't do that for you. And, like, once again, I admire the persistence, but it's like, maybe not be persistent with just one person, you know what I mean? Like, how about you try that with other people? And maybe he has, maybe it was a last ditch attempt. I don't know the story, you know, but I just know that I did what I could. I offered what I could. He didn't want that. And, you know, and honestly, that happens a lot when I am doing readings, when I'm pulling cards for people. Like, some people will come to me and they'll ask something, and, like, I can see the energy, I can feel the energy, you know what I mean? And so, like, if I see something that is concerning, and I tell you, hey, this thing looks concerning, maybe you should try X, Y, and Z if this is what you want. And they're like, well, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. Or, like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, then I guess you're just not going to get the fucking thing, my friend. Like, what? And quite honestly, they looked like really nice shoes. Like, assuming that I could fit them and assuming that I had the money to help him, I definitely would have. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, all I could really offer was motivation. All I could really offer was, like, hey, just keep trying. I'm sure you will find somebody to purchase these. You know what I mean? And that just wasn't good enough for him. And once again, these are the types of people, unfortunately, and I think there's always room for growth. I think there's always space for growth, for sure, don't get me wrong. But these are generally the people who do nothing with their lives, who just waste away their lives. You know what I mean? And that's not like a judgment. That's not like a, however you want to take that. But if you're not willing to take what is given to get the thing that you want, then you're just not going to get what you want. You know what I mean? That's just point blank period. You know what I mean? If you're going to be salty because you want instant gratification, you know, you're just not going to get what you want. Instant gratification is the death of, like, anything substantial. Like, if you want anything substantial in life, you have to understand it's going to take time and it's going to take effort. And I guess if we were to take a step forward and add spiritual principles, doesn't really take time. It really more so takes alignment. But even still, it takes time because like it takes time to take action and to have ideas and stuff like that. But honestly, boil it down, it really just takes alignment. It just really takes you being in alignment with what it is that you're asking for. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, because this actually happened to me yesterday, and I journaled about it. It happened to me yesterday where this dude, he asked me for change. I was going into a store, and he asked me for change, and I wasn't able to articulate myself in the moment, I feel, and so I kind of just gave him a thumbs up, and I was just like, okay. I didn't really say yes, I just kind of, you know what I mean, but I could understand how that could be perceived as a yes, you know. And so I went in the store. It took longer than usual, and when I came back out, I felt the need to explain to him, you know, like, sorry, I should have explained myself. I don't have any coins right now. If I did, sure. I didn't say all that, but I was like, if I did, I would have, you know. And he saw that I bought like a tobacco product for like marijuana, and he was like, well, let me smoke with you. He didn't say it like that. I don't mean to mimic him. I'm not making fun of the situation. But he was like, he did have a relatively deep voice, I guess. And he was like, let me smoke with you then. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, but have a nice day. And he didn't say anything. And obviously he's not obligated to say anything. But this is something I noticed, like, when you, like, okay, how do I say this? Because I've noticed this with other people too, like via text and other forms of message or communication. Like, if you're a person who appreciates reciprocity, you like give and take, you know what I mean, and you're also a person who is naturally geared towards more positive energy, be fucking careful about people who go mute when you give them well wishes. You know what I mean? Like, even a simple thank you is enough. You know what I mean? You don't even have to say you too or like right back at you or whatever the fuck. But even just a simple thank you is enough, you know? And you should be very, very careful about people who do not reciprocate your kindness. You know what I mean? Because one thing about it, a lot of people play nice, which is really fucking annoying to me. A lot of people play nice. A lot of people pretend to be nice, pretend to be kind, pretend to be generous. But like, you'll notice in those little moments of like silence, you know, and it's like, why did you go silent? Why did you not say anything? Like, there's a person that I've talked about on and off on here. You know, I have a lot of love for them, I have a lot of care for them, etc., etc. And I recently blocked them because I'm just done. And it's a temporary block. I'm gonna eventually unblock them, but it's just like, I'm tired of you, you know. And one of the reasons why I did this was because I noticed, and there's a lot of other things that I noticed, but this is one thing I've noticed, like, if he doesn't get his way, if he doesn't get exactly what he wants out of me, and for whatever reason I have to like cut things off and I have to like say bye, I'll try to do it in a way that is like pleasant, you know, have a nice day, bye, I have to go. And he'll like not respond. He'll not say anything. And then when he does respond, he won't even respond directly to the pleasantry. And once again, he's not obligated to, but it's just like the energy of like, really, bro? I took the time to wish you a happy day, to wish you a good day, and you didn't even think to respond to it with a simple fucking thank you. Like, what? Like, what? You're tripping. You're tripping, bro. Like, what? And once again, that's not the only reason why I blocked him. There's a list of reasons. Another reason is because he enables my toxic behaviors. He does not encourage me to do better. You know what I mean, for myself? Like, he gave me like a half-assed, like, oh, I'm so proud of you, I see what you're doing. But then like, it didn't check, because, okay, I'm gonna just be transparent. I've been trying, and I'm saying trying gently because as I'm saying this, my attempts to get marijuana were foiled because the store was closed. Remember when I was talking about the shoe guy? Like, that was kind of in that mix. Like, I only was in that area because I was going to get some marijuana, and it happened to be closed, so I had to deal with him harassing me. And then also I'm joking when I say harassing. Like, I respect the hustle. Anybody who's actually trying to, like, you know, anybody who's actually trying to do better for themselves, anybody who's actually trying to make something of themselves, I'm not going to be the type of person who's like, oh, get away from me, you're annoying me. I might feel that way, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, good for you. I hope you get what you're searching for. It might not be for me, but like, that's what I was thinking. Like, before, because I saw him once, And then I saw him again. And the second time before I saw him, I was like thinking in my head, I was like, I hope to God he's not over here still. Like, I'm not wishing anything bad for him. I hope that he gets what he needs, whatever. But I hope I don't see him again. And then I did see him again. And it was very awkward. And I was just like, dude, I can't help you right now. Like, I'm sorry. Like, keep trying. I'm sure you will find what you're looking for. You know what I mean? That's my version of help. Like, words of encouragement. And like, once again, when that's not reciprocated, you have to be really careful about allowing people into your space, allowing those people into your space, like, and allowing them to stay in your space, stay in your mental space, your emotional space, like, you know, because when you think about the energetics of it, like, that's low-key siphoning. You know what I mean? It's like, how do I say? Like, it's like if we think of everything as energy, words as energy, thoughts as energy. If I'm taking the time to give you this energy, to say, hey, have a nice day, thank you for your time, you know, that's energy. Regardless of how you perceive it, that's energy. And it is positive energy. It's good energy. You know what I mean? And your response is silence. Your response is to just take it in. You know what I mean? That's very, very sus. If you ask me, it's like, what? Assuming that we care about each other, assuming that we have, like, a respect for each other, it's really sus. It's like, what? I wished you a good day, and you didn't even think to respond to it. And then, like, because then sometimes I've noticed, and this is how I know that this person is argumentative, this is how I know that this person likes to argue, because there's been moments where we have been talking, and then, like, maybe it'll almost get heated, or it'll get heated, and I'm like, because I'm fucking self-aware, and I know that I don't like arguing, and I'm like, okay, we're getting into an argument, like, let's figure a resolve for this before it gets too deep, you know? And so in those moments, sometimes I've had to cut it short, you know, before it gets too deep. And so I'll be like, you know, I feel this getting really intense, so I'm gonna go. I hope you have a nice day. I love you, I appreciate you. And then maybe I'll add something else that could be triggering, you know, because I'm a person of truth, I'm a person of accountability. I like to deal with the fucking truth. I like to resolve things that are unresolved. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a person who just likes to sit in unresolved energy. And so I'll say something that might be triggering, but potentially could resolve the situation. And he won't respond to me being like, have a nice day, or like, I need to disconnect. He'll respond to the thing that is triggering. And it's like, really, bro? Really? Like, really? And then he's tried to play emotional manipulation and be like, you know, I feel like whenever I give you money, you just stop talking to me. And it's like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? We're literally in a very, like, because then he'll say that and we'll literally be in a conversation. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we're literally talking right now, and you already know that I'm a very busy person. You already know that I like to have my schedule. You know what I mean? I like to, and honestly, I talked to ChatGPT about it. I feel like it's his shadow side coming out to play. You know what I mean? Because, like, the thing about it is we all have light and dark attributes. We all have desirable traits and undesirable traits. We all have that. There's no way around that. You know, and when you only focus on the desirable traits, when you only focus on the good, and you ignore or pretend like the shadow isn't there, that does way more damage than it does good. You know, like, when you ignore that, it just grows and it bleeds onto other people. It pours onto other people, and that's obviously not what you want, right? Right. And I just find myself continuously dealing with his shadow element, and he doesn't want to admit it, that he even has a shadow element. You know what I mean? Like, he'll occasionally, as an excuse, he'll be like, well, I'm just human, we all make mistakes. Okay, bitch, but the part about it is that you have to recognize the fucking mistakes and try to fucking do better. Bro, what? Like, it is a valid sentiment. We are all human, we all do make mistakes, yes, but that is not a response to somebody telling you that you're doing something wrong. Like, that's something that you say to yourself so that you can have compassion for yourself, but that's not something you say to other people when they're telling you that your actions are hurting them. No! There's a spider web. Again, I passed that spider web in the last video that I recorded. It almost threw me by surprise, and it almost did that again because I don't have my glasses on. But yeah, because I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm a person who is very geared toward truth, who's very geared towards understanding and compassion, and I just don't understand how a person could like just so comfortably live in their delusions, live in their illusions. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't fucking make sense, bro. Also, I realized I did kind of go off on a tangent. I was saying something and then I went off into a tangent and I don't remember exactly what I was saying. But yeah, like, that's definitely like something that I'm dealing with energetically right now, and it's, I don't know how it will unfold. Part of me kind of just knows that at some point I will be completely done with him, you know, and like I think sometimes labels make things a little bit complicated, a little bit more complicated than is necessary. And when I say that, I mean like the twin flame, the soulmate, the karmic. I think these terms to some degree kind of mess things up, because it kind of frames it in a way that says you are this thing and you're never going to change, which I just obviously don't agree with. Even just looking at my own journey, I used to be super duper socially awkward. I used to be very afraid of talking to people. You know what I mean? And I'm not that person anymore. But if I were to label myself and be like, oh, well, you're just socially awkward, you're just socially anxious, then I would just be that. But that's not how I operate. That's not how I believe that humans work. I think that we're all capable of change. I think we're all capable of growth, you know? But that being said, though, there are certain people who just choose in this lifetime to continue to stay stuck with who they are, you know? But even within that, I think there's still room for growth. I think there's still room for healing and all that jazz. But, the reason why I mentioned that, the reason why I said that is because, like, I do feel like this is like a false person, like a false counterpart, like, and I'm very lightly using that title because I don't use these titles. But if you watch my readings, you'll notice I very rarely say stuff like that. Like, very rarely. Like, unless it comes through as a direct message, it's like I don't use this language. This language doesn't compute with the way that I channel and the way that I look at the world. That doesn't make it wrong, but that it's just not my style. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it just feels like this person is like, if I were to use that language, like a false twin flame or whatever, because he wants so badly. I think he believes that we're supposed to be together, but it's like, bro, no, because you don't even want the best for me. Like, you actively you actively sabotage me, and you don't even want to admit it to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I remember what I was about to say. This video is gonna be all over the place. I don't care. Did I already say it? I might have already said it, but yeah, I've been trying to go sober, and I say trying lightly because I already said all this, but and during our dynamic, he knows this. I've explained this to him. I've been hesitant to explain it to him because I'm very afraid of giving him sensitive information. You know what I mean? Information that could potentially hurt me, which this is information that could hurt me, because this is a very vulnerable thing to do. Like, if you're going sober, please understand that that's a very not easy thing to do. Like, and ideally, you need people around you who are going to be helpful, who are going to be supportful, is that a word? Supporting? Who are going to be supportive. That's a weird word. You need people around you who are going to be supportive. That's why we have facilities. That's why we have growth systems in place. And not all of them are great. Not all of them are wonderful. But that's why we have those, because that's what you need when you're going through that journey. You know what I mean? And this is the second time that I have actively attempted, while knowing this person, this is the second time that I've actively tried to, and maybe it's even been more than that, I don't know, but this is the second time where I've noticed interference with his energy between us. You know what I mean? Like, where I'm trying to go sober, I told you I'm going sober, and I even asked specifically, could you check in on me? Could you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's too much to ask if you genuinely care about somebody. You know what I mean? And the first time he was working, and usually we talk while he was working. He has a new job now. There was a period, and I believe that it was his karma for messing with my work, honestly. But there was a period where he was heavily searching for a job. He didn't have a job. He was, you know, doing odd jobs and stuff. And I was trying to be there for him, whatever. I did some magic for him, whatever. But, like, the point is, he was at this job, and he would You know, pretend like he was too busy to talk to me, too busy to text me. You know what I mean? Once again, normally we talk relatively frequently throughout the day, you know? And then after I told him, hey, I'm trying to go sober, could you like check in on me? Could you like make sure that I'm okay? I hadn't heard from him 2 whole shifts. We had talked before he went to work or whatever, but then he goes to work and like completely just silent the entire shift. What? For 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row. And so after that, I was just like, okay, fuck you, bro. And I think I blocked him around that time because I was just like, really? I'm really? Because then he tried to make excuses for himself and be like, oh, well, I was just busy. Didn't try to take any accountability for it. Didn't try to take any responsibility for it. And it's just like, I'm so fucking tired. Because, like, you thrive off of avoidance. You thrive off of just pretending like shit isn't happening. And I don't have the energy for that. Like, going through the things that I'm going through, experiencing the things that I'm going through, like, striving for the things that I'm striving for, I don't have the energy for that. I don't have the energy. I already have to deal with that with my own living situation. You know what I mean? I already deal with that shit within my own living situation. I don't want to actively choose people who are going to add to that stress. What the fuck? Like, that's not a complicated thing to think about. You know what I mean? And, like, I don't know, it's difficult. It's a difficult decision walking away from this person because on the surface, it looks like a really harmonious situation. He gives me money. He helps me out. If I really needed it, he would be a listening ear. But even in that, like, because I'm so fucking aware, I notice that when he is a listening ear, he's still, like, he does it in a way where it's like, you're not actually helpful. You know what I mean? I'm better off talking to ChatGPT, quite honestly. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to discredit the fact that he might be trying. But, like, one thing that I've said to so many people when I do readings, like, love is not enough to sustain a relationship. You also need fucking trust. You need respect. You need mutual care. You know what I mean? And I love the idea of, like, a business relationship, you know, based off of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to, like, you know, I don't know. I'm sorry. That was unnecessary information. I don't know. Because, like, I try my best. I really do. Like, with almost everything that I do, I try my best. With live streaming, I put a lot of myself into that. With these videos, I try to put a lot into... Oh, my God. There's something in my shoe that's stabbing me. What the fuck? Oh, my God. It's out, I think. That hurt. But, yeah, with everything that I do, I really do try. Like, I try. Like, and I feel like sometimes it comes off as though I don't try. Like, I don't give a fuck. But I really do. I care quite a lot. And for that being said... Like, I've learned within this connection and other connections, if you truly know who the fuck you are and you know that you're a boss ass bitch, please save yourself the heartache and do not fucking deal with people unless you have super strong boundaries and you're able to compartmentalize and you're able to, like, you know, not have to always be around this person. Do not mess with people who are not equally yoked. Do not mess with people who are not on your level. And when I say that, it's not like on some fucking judgmental shit or like holier than... It just literally is what it is, bro. Like, if you're constantly working on yourself, if you're constantly trying to improve yourself, constantly trying to achieve something, constantly working towards goals, and you're looking at somebody who is not doing those things, that is what that means. That is what it means to be unequally yoked. You know, you're dealing with somebody who just does not have the same drive as you. It doesn't make you better than them. It doesn't make you better than them. Let's not go with that thinking, but it does make you have different requirements and different needs for having a connection. You know, a friend is in your life for a reason. You know, and I think a lot of people just want friends for, like, the company just so they don't have to be alone. I've never vibed with that, to be quite honest. Like, I'm comfortable being on my own, being in my own energy, you know? And when I find people that match that like also have that energy, that's lit, that's dope, I love it, you know what I mean? And like, and then we could disconnect and it'd be groovy and it'd be fine, you know what I mean? But then there's those people who are just so needy and just so codependent, and he literally calls himself a codependent caretaker. And like, in my head, the most healthy version of that would be somebody who also takes time to regulate themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Not somebody who's just constantly... But I guess there is no healthy version of that, because if you're codependent, it means you completely rely on somebody else to feel good about you. And I just don't have the patience, I don't have the energy for that, man. Like, you're like, how old? And age isn't nothing, age doesn't matter. But it's like, you're how old? And I'm how old? I'm 28. I'm still fucking growing, I'm still learning. And like, you see that I'm like, all the things that I'm working on, because I fucking share with you, because I'm a fucking idiot and I overshare. You know, you see all the shit that I'm working on, and I've told you exactly what I want. And like, it's my fault really, because I keep tolerating it, I keep allowing it to slide, even though I know that this is not what I want. You know what I mean? And it's like, but on his end, I'm sure that there's no actual accountability. I'm sure there's no actual accountability, because it's like, you know, like, you can only have the same conversation so many times before you just lose your mind. You know what I mean? Like, we've had the same conversations over and over. Like, I want you to like take more initiative. I want you to have a life of your own outside of me. I want you to, and he does, I guess, but it just to me, it's so obvious that it's like, everything that he does is for like validation. Everything that he does is to like be approved of and to be appreciated and to be liked. And it's like, that's not inherently bad, but it is unhealthy. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I didn't mean to get so heated in this video, but this is how this person makes me feel. You know, like, I have love for him, I care about him, I want the best for him, but it does not feel like that is an equal situation. Like, he's told me that he prays for me. Okay, you could tell me all you want, but like, bitch, I've never even seen you actually pray. You know, and I'm very shy about my prayer. I'm not a person who prays in front of other people. Like, even when it comes to my social media, because I'm trying to be very like clear, but I also don't want to overshare, like I probably already have. Like, this stuff, this video, everything that you see of me online, it's not just branding. It is literally my way of being of service to the world, like my spiritual service to the world. Like, me making these videos, me going on live streams, sure, it's also a way for me to make money, but ultimately that is what that is. That's how I think about that. It's my way of giving back to the world. You know, I have all this knowledge, I have all this understanding, all this, like, I'm very blessed and I'm very thankful. Like, even with all the struggles in my life, I'm very blessed, and like, I wholeheartedly believe in giving back when you are in that energy, when you're in that space of like having what you need. I feel like it is very important to give back. And so that's what I do with these videos. And outside of these videos, I pray a lot. Like, I pray silently, I pray out loud, I pray a lot. And when I'm on here, when I'm doing my live streams, when I'm doing readings, I'm also praying. You know what I mean? Like, in my head. And occasionally I'll say the prayer out loud. You know what I mean? Occasionally, like, I have had, there's videos that you can see where you can see me directly talking and like saying things out loud, like speaking to the angels, speaking to whatever other energies that I speak to. You know what I mean? Because like, this is real, bro. Like, I'm actually, and once again, I don't mean to over explain. I feel like there's somebody watching who wants to see me as like a fraud or something. Bitch, you're the fraud. The only people who go out of their way to try to expose others are the people who are actually fake. Like, the people who try to humble people are the actual ones who need to be humbled, you know? And I was watching a video, I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent, but I was watching a video, somebody was talking about people who try to humble others. Those are the ones who are like deeply insecure. Those are the people who don't believe that they are worth shit. You know what I mean? And so they see somebody who does think that they're worth shit, and they're like, who the fuck are you? I'm not worth anything. Who the fuck are you to think that you're worth anything? Let me bring you down. Like, lame ass weirdo behavior. I kind of lost my train of thought. To be quite honest. But yeah, like, I don't know. We live in a crazy world, and if you're a person like anything like me, like, you really gotta learn to protect yourself. There was a guy who was talking about how like it is unchristlike, or it is that's not even fucking unhealthy, I guess, to think that you would have to shield yourself or like not give your best to the world. And to some degree, I agree with what he was saying, but then for the most part, I was just like, no, that's not how that works. Because when you truly give your best to the world, from experience, you will see, and like, sure, everybody's experience is different, and I feel like that is a necessary part of the conversation. Everybody's experience is different. Because like, when Oh my god, my phone's on 20%. Oh my god, I thought it interrupted the video. Oh my god, that scared the fuck out of me. I have my alarms off, so that won't be an interruption, because the alarms interrupt the entire video, and that's fucking pisses me off. But you know, everybody's experience is different. Like, when I went to rehab, most of my experiences were very, very pleasant for the most part. But I know other people, they go to rehab and it's really terrible. They get treated like shit. Like, it's just terrible. And like, everyone's experience is different. So that being said, that's a nuance. But generally, from my experience, when I have put my best out, when I've put my best foot forward in certain situations, it is met with resistance. It is met with envy. It is met with jealousy. It is met with challenge. You know what I mean? Challenge, unnecessary challenge, I'll say, because challenge is always going to happen. But unnecessary challenge. You know what I mean? Somebody trying to humble me, somebody trying to belittle me or whatever the fuck. And like, I definitely, in those situations, I definitely did not have the awareness that I have now. I feel like I'm always growing in awareness. So like, I'm always able to look back and be like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. You know what I mean? But generally, like, whenever I put my best foot forward, like, there's always at least one person who has a problem with it. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean you should take that into consideration. That doesn't mean you should like be concerned with that. But it is something to be mindful of. Like, there are people who exist in the world who get a lot of hate just for being great. You know what I mean? Like, when we look at a lot of celebrities, when we look at the hate trains, if you genuinely look with objective eyes, not with emotional fucking eyes, not with your fucking triggers, not with your fucking trauma, when you look objectively, you'll see that a lot of people get hate and shat on just for being good at what they do. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like Ariana Grande, one of my faves, absolutely love her. Like, her voice, her personality, the way that she comes off, the way, like, her politics, like the way that she seems to care so much about people, I love that. You know what I mean? And whenever people hate on her, to me, it looks like a projection. It looks like you're too good to be true. There's no way that you can be that whole, that holy, that beautiful, that amazing. Because meanwhile, I know that I'm a shit person. And that's usually the disconnect, because nobody wants to fucking admit that they're a shit person and then continue being a shit person. You know, so the next best thing is to point fingers and be like, you're a shit person. Let's put the attention on you. You know, and it's so immature, it's so childish, and it's just like, you gotta really be careful. Like, when people give you negative feedback, when people give you criticism, be careful of who you're listening to. And like, the rule of thumb is, do not take advice from people that you would not want to live life. You know what I mean? Somebody who's like sitting on the couch all day, watching TV all day, do you really want to take advice from them? Do you really want to take advice from them? Unless it's like genuinely resonating with your soul. It's like, do I really want to take advice from you? You know, because a lot of people give advice based off of their limited perspective. And then just the same, on the more malicious end of the spectrum, some people will give advice purposely wanting to see you fail, purposely wanting you to come back crawling to them. And it's really disgusting. Like, I don't know, we live in a really fucked up world. I have to pee all of a sudden. We live in a really fucked up world. And I think what perpetuates that terribleness, that fucked upness, is people not wanting to acknowledge what the problems are, not wanting to acknowledge that they do, to some degree, play a part in what's going on negatively around them, you know? And like, me personally, I cannot wrap my head around avoiding the truth, because I've always been so geared towards truth. Like, even back in middle school, even back in high school, when I was discovering myself, like, that's when I knew I was gay. I knew I was gay in middle school, maybe even before then. And I just knew, you know what I mean? And I got a lot of criticism, I got a lot of hate for it, sure, but I still knew who the fuck I was. And, you know, like, I don't know, maybe that was a tangent. Also, this is a bit longer of a video than usual, so I'm sorry for that, question mark. I don't know. If you want to help support me, if you want to check me out on other platforms, you can check out the description down below. There should be a link tree with a bunch of links and stuff. I have music, I have a Patreon and all that jazz if you want to check that out. If not, it's okay, it's whatever. But the option is there if you want to check that out. Also, my shirt is not sweating now. I have to wash this. Shirt. Yeah, I don't know. If nothing else from this video, I hope you know that you are so infinitely loved. Like, as you are so worthy of love. I believe. And I think there's always room for improvement. But if you're watching this video, most likely you are worthy of love. You are worthy of good things. That doesn't mean it's not going to be without work. That doesn't mean that it isn't going to take effort. But you are worthy of those things, you know? And no storm lasts forever. Miracles happen all the fucking time, you know? You just have to be willing to reach out and grab it, you know? Or at least be in the energy to receive it. However, whichever. Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.